There comes a time in your life when you realize that the weight of the world isn't meant to sit on your shoulders. When every criticism, every slight, every whisper of doubt feels like a crushing blow to your spirit, and you wonder, how much more can I take? But what if the real strength, the true power lies not in caring deeply about every hurt, every judgment, every failed expectation, but in learning to act like you don't care? Not because you're cold, not because you're heartless, but because you've discovered the freedom that comes when you refuse to be defined by others' opinions. This isn't about shutting off your emotions. No, it's about mastering them. It's about standing tall while the storms rage around you, knowing that your peace is sacred. It's about walking with your head held high, silent in your confidence, unshaken by the noise of the world. When you learn to act like you don't care, you reclaim your life. You say, I will not give you the power to shake my foundation. And that, my friend, is where real victory begins. Sometimes the heaviest chains are the ones we forge ourselves by caring too much about what others think, say, or do. You carry their opinions, their judgments, their expectations like a burden that never lifts, and slowly it wears you down. Emotional detachment isn't about becoming numb or uncaring. It's about recognizing that the energy you spend trying to please everyone, trying to prove your worth to the world, is stealing your power. When you're emotionally tied to every criticism, every slight, you become vulnerable. Vulnerable to pain, disappointment, and distraction. The moment you learn to step back and watch without getting pulled in, that's when you begin to own your life again. You create space between your soul and the noise. And in that space, you find your strength. You see, caring deeply isn't the problem. It's caring too deeply about the wrong things that breaks you. When your value is wrapped up in the approval of others, you give away your power. You make yourself a hostage to their moods, their words, their perceptions. Imagine how freeing it is to detach just enough so that their opinions no longer dictate your emotions. This is not a rejection of empathy or love, but a conscious decision to protect yourself from being controlled by forces outside your control. You begin to understand that the only voice you truly need to listen to is your own. And that's the first step to building unshakable confidence. Think about the people who seem unaffected by criticism or negativity. The ones who stand tall while storms swirl around them. They've learned this secret. The power to detach emotionally doesn't mean you don't feel. It means you refuse to be a prisoner of feelings that serve no purpose. When you detach, you're no longer reacting out of fear or insecurity. You respond with calm and clarity. This is where true power lies. In the pause between stimulus and reaction, you create that pause. When you refuse to let every jab, every comment, or every failure define your emotional state, you're no longer a puppet. You're the master of your mind. Emotional detachment allows you to protect your heart without closing it off. It's not about shutting down love, compassion, or passion. It's about refusing to let pain, rejection, or judgment drown you. You learn to observe your emotions without letting them drag you under. This skill is a kind of armor, but a flexible one, not cold steel, but a shield made of awareness and choice. You decide where your energy goes. You decide which battles are worth fighting. When you act like you don't care in the right moments, you're not heartless. You're strategic, you're wise, and you're free. The problem with caring too much is that it makes you a target for manipulation. When people sense you're overly invested in their approval, they use it against you. Emotional detachment is your defense. It means recognizing when to step back, when to say no, and when to protect your spirit from those who want to break you down. It means valuing your peace over pleasing people. When you stop caring about the opinions of those who don't uplift you, you stop being a victim of their toxicity. You reclaim your life and your energy. You become unbreakable because you refuse to be dependent on external validation. Detachment isn't a one-time event, it's a practice. A daily decision to not get lost in the chaos of emotions that don't belong to you. When someone says something cruel or unjust, you feel it, but then you choose not to carry it with you. You let it pass through without letting it sink in and weigh you down. This takes discipline and courage, especially when your instincts want to fight back or retreat in pain. But the more you practice, the easier it becomes to maintain that distance. You start to realize that your emotional well-being is your most valuable possession, and no one else's words or actions deserve to have that kind of power over you. This detachment also helps you in the face of failure and disappointment. When you care too much, Every setback feels like a personal defeat. But when you learn to hold your emotions lightly, failure becomes just another lesson, not a reflection of your worth. You understand that disappointment is temporary, but your peace is permanent if you protect it. You build resilience by not letting your feelings about events control your identity. You learn to love yourself through success and failure alike, because your self-worth is not dependent on external outcomes or people's opinions. There's a sacred balance between caring and detaching, and it's not easy to find. Too much detachment can lead to indifference or isolation, but without it, you risk being crushed by the weight of emotional chaos. The power lies in knowing when to care, how much to care, and when to let go. You learn to choose your emotional battles wisely, and that choice is a form of self-respect. It's a declaration that your peace and your heart are non-negotiable. When you act like you don't care, it's often a sign that you're guarding yourself fiercely because you know your worth and refuse to let anyone diminish it. At the core of emotional detachment is self-love. It's loving yourself enough to say, I deserve peace. I deserve respect. I deserve to live free from the chains of others' opinions. When you embrace this, you create an unshakable foundation. You become a force that can't be swayed by negativity because you've built an inner fortress of calm and confidence. You learn that the most powerful act of love is sometimes the one where you choose not to care, because caring too much when it hurts you is a form of self-betrayal. Detachment is the ultimate act of reclaiming your life and your happiness. So the power of emotional detachment isn't about walking through life cold or uncaring. It's about walking through life with a fierce protection over your heart and mind. It's about creating a space where you can be fully present without being fully consumed. It's about knowing your value and refusing to trade it for someone else's approval or judgment. When you learn this, when you really embrace this, you step into a freedom that few ever find. You act like you don't care because you know what matters most is your peace, and you guard it with everything you have. Your inner peace is the most precious thing you own, more valuable than money, more essential than success, more powerful than any external circumstance. It's the quiet place inside where your soul can breathe, where your mind can rest, where your spirit can heal. But the world is full of noise that wants to steal your peace, to drown your calm, and chaos to disrupt your flow with stress, anger, and fear. Protecting your inner peace is not optional. It's a necessity. If you want to live a life of strength, clarity, and purpose, you have to guard that sanctuary like a warrior. Because once your peace is broken, everything else crumbles. The fights, the drama, the endless expectations, they all chip away at your calm until you lose sight of who you really are. But when you stand firm, unshaken by the storm, that peace becomes your fortress. Most people don't realize how easily they give away their peace. They allow small irritations to grow into full-blown storms. They let toxic people steal their joy and drag them into emotional battles that lead nowhere. They stay awake at night replaying conversations, worrying about what was said or unsaid, drowning in a sea of what-ifs and regrets. This is a slow poison. Protecting your inner peace means refusing to engage in these draining cycles. It means saying no to unnecessary drama and walking away from anything that disturbs your calm without reason. It means choosing to invest your energy only in what lifts you higher, not what pulls you down. This is the beginning of real power. You cannot protect your peace if you're not aware of what disrupts it. The first step is learning to recognize the triggers, the people, the situations, the thoughts that steal your calm and shake your foundation. When you become aware, you gain control. Awareness is like a light in the darkness that helps you see the dangers before you walk into them. Maybe it's gossip, maybe it's negative news, maybe it's constant comparison or toxic relationships. Whatever it is, you have to name it, understand it, and keep it at a distance. Protecting your inner peace means creating boundaries that safeguard your emotional and mental space. You're not responsible for everyone else's chaos, but you are responsible for your own calm. The world will always try to distract you, pull you off course, and test your peace. You'll encounter people who want to provoke you, situations that frustrate you, challenges that shake you. But peace is a choice. It's not the absence of problems. It's the ability to stay steady through them. When you protect your inner peace, you don't avoid conflict or difficulties. You meet them with a calm mind and a strong heart. You respond rather than react. You keep your center even when everything around you is falling apart. This doesn't happen by accident. It happens because you've trained yourself to guard your peace like the treasure it is. Protecting your inner peace means learning to let go of what you cannot control. You cannot control other people's actions, their opinions, their moods, or their mistakes. When you accept this truth, you stop wasting your energy on trying to change the unchangeable. Instead, you focus on controlling yourself, your thoughts, your emotions, your responses. This shift is revolutionary. It frees you from the burden of carrying everyone else's weight. It puts you back in the driver's seat of your life. When you let go of what you cannot control, you create space for calm, for clarity, and for growth. Self-care is a crucial part of protecting your peace. It's not selfish to take time for yourself. It's necessary. Your mind and body need rest. Your soul needs nourishment, and your heart needs kindness. When you prioritize self-care, you build resilience against the chaos of the outside world. You strengthen your ability to stay calm and focused. This means saying no to overcommitment, unplugging from the noise when you need to, and doing things that restore your spirit. Protecting your inner peace means investing in yourself, knowing that you cannot pour from an empty cup. The more you care for yourself, the stronger your peace becomes. Sometimes protecting your peace means walking away from toxic relationships, unhealthy environments, or destructive habits. This takes courage because it means choosing your well-being over comfort, your future over familiarity. But peace cannot live in chaos. You must be willing to let go of anything or anyone that threatens to disrupt your calm. This doesn't make you weak or unkind. It makes you wise and strong. It's an act of self-love to protect the sacred space inside you. When you walk away from negativity, you create room for growth, healing, and joy. Mindfulness and meditation are powerful tools to protect your inner peace. They teach you to stay present, to observe your thoughts without judgment, and to calm the storm inside your mind. When you practice mindfulness, you develop an inner refuge, a place you can return to whenever life feels overwhelming. This daily practice strengthens your ability to choose peace no matter what's happening around you. It rewires your brain to respond with calm rather than chaos, to find stillness in the noise. Protecting your peace isn't just about external actions. It's about training your mind to be your sanctuary. Remember, protecting your inner peace is not a one-time event. It's a lifelong commitment. There will be days when you slip, when the noise gets loud, when the chaos creeps in. But each time you choose to protect your peace, you grow stronger. You become more resilient, more grounded, more unshakable. You start to live from a place of power rather than reaction. You choose calm over chaos, love over fear, strength over weakness, and that choice changes everything. It changes how you see yourself, how you move through the world, and how you live your life. Protect your peace fiercely because it is your greatest weapon and your deepest blessing. When you protect your inner peace, you become a beacon for others. Your calm draws people in. Your strength inspires them. You no longer feed into negativity or drama. You rise above it. You show the world that true power isn't loud or aggressive. It's quiet, steady, and unbreakable. You live with intention. You move with purpose. And you shine with authenticity. Protecting your peace means living on your terms, in your power, and with your heart wide open. And when you do this, nothing can shake you because you have found the peace that lives within. And that peace is unstoppable. You ever notice how many people walk through life feeling drained, used, and undervalued? It's because they never learned the power of setting boundaries. Clear, firm lines that protect their energy, their time, and their peace. Setting boundaries without apologies is not about being rude or selfish. It's about claiming your right to respect and dignity. When you start saying no without feeling guilty, you take back control over your life. You stop being everyone's backup plan, their emotional punching bag, or their endless resource. Boundaries are the invisible fences around your soul. And when you build them strong, you create a safe space where you can thrive. It's time to stop shrinking yourself to fit into someone else's expectations and start expanding into your full power. Most people are terrified of setting boundaries because they've been conditioned to believe it's selfish or unkind. They worry about disappointing others or being seen as difficult. But here's the truth. Boundaries are an act of self-love, not selfishness. When you set a boundary, you're not saying, "I don't care about you." You're saying, "I care about myself enough to protect my well-being." You cannot pour from an empty cup. And when you let others cross your limits, you drain your spirit. Learning to set boundaries without apology is about owning your worth and teaching others how to treat you. It's a silent but powerful declaration that your time, your energy, and your peace are non-negotiable. When you start setting boundaries without apologies, you'll face resistance. People will test your limits because they're used to walking all over you. Some will try to guilt trip you, make you feel selfish, or even lash out. But this is when you have to stand firm. Boundaries are not walls to keep people out. They're gates that keep toxicity from flooding in. You don't owe anyone an explanation for why you're protecting your energy. You don't owe anyone a reason for saying no. This is your life, your peace, your responsibility. The more you practice standing firm, the stronger you become and the more others learn to respect you. Setting boundaries without apologies also means understanding your limits and honoring them. You're not a machine and you don't have unlimited capacity. You have emotions, needs, and limits that must be respected by yourself first. When you respect your own limits, you create a blueprint for others to follow. You model self-respect, and that changes how people interact with you. It sends a clear message: I am worthy of care and consideration. You stop tolerating disrespect, neglect, or emotional drain. You stop accepting less than you deserve. This is revolutionary because it rewires how you allow the world to treat you. It's easy to confuse boundaries with punishment or rejection, but they're neither. Boundaries are about creating safety for you and for others. When you say no to something that drains you, you're saying yes to your well-being. When you distance yourself from negativity, you create space for positivity. When you refuse to tolerate disrespect, you invite respect. Boundaries are the blueprint for healthy relationships. Without them, chaos and resentment grow. But when you set boundaries without apology, you take the first step to healthier, more authentic connections, relationships where you're valued and seen. Learning to set boundaries without apologies means learning to say no with confidence and kindness. You don't have to be harsh or aggressive. You can say no calmly, clearly, and respectfully. It's a skill that takes practice, but becomes easier every time. When you say no without guilt, you teach others that your time and energy are valuable. You break the cycle of people-pleasing and open the door for more honesty and respect. This is how you protect your peace and your power. You stop living to please others and start living to honor yourself. Setting boundaries without apologies also means being honest with yourself about what you will and won't accept. You have to look inward and decide where your lines are drawn. What behaviors are toxic to you? What demands are unreasonable? What expectations drain your spirit? When you know your boundaries clearly, you're less likely to be manipulated or taken advantage of. You build armor around your soul that lets love and kindness in, but keeps harm out. This clarity is liberating because it frees you from confusion, guilt, and compromise that cost you your happiness. There will be moments when you doubt yourself, when the voices of guilt, obligation, or fear whisper in your ear. But remember, every time you set a boundary without apology, you are rewriting your story. You are teaching yourself and the world that you matter. You are building the foundation for a life lived on your terms. The discomfort you feel is temporary. The strength and peace you gain are permanent. Trust yourself enough to stand firm. Your worth is not negotiable, and neither is your peace. You will find that the more you set boundaries without apologies, the more people respect you. Not just others, but yourself too. You become your own advocate, your own protector, your own champion. You stop waiting for permission to live your life and start claiming it. Boundaries become the framework of your freedom, the path to your peace, and the proof of your self-love. When you honor your limits unapologetically, you create a life that is authentic, powerful, and deeply fulfilling. So, setting boundaries without apologies isn't just a skill. It's a revolution within yourself. It's about reclaiming your power, your peace, and your purpose. It's about refusing to be a doormat in your own life and choosing to walk with strength, dignity, and clarity. When you do this, you no longer live in fear of rejection or conflict. You live in the power of your truth. And that, my friend, is unstoppable. Silence is not weakness. It's not a void or an absence. It's the hidden power that lies beneath the noise of the world. A force so strong, so steady that it can move mountains. In a world addicted to noise, constant chatter, and endless distraction, silence is your refuge. It's where your mind can reset, where your heart can heal, and where your true strength can be found. There is a power in choosing silence when everyone expects you to shout. There is courage in holding your peace when the world tries to provoke you into chaos. The strength in silence is the strength to listen, to reflect, and to respond with intention, not reaction. When you learn to embrace silence, you stop fighting every battle out loud and start winning the war inside. Many confuse silence with surrender, but that couldn't be further from the truth. Silence is not giving up. It's holding your ground with calm and clarity. It's the ability to pause and gather your thoughts rather than rush to react. When you speak less, you hear more. You learn to understand situations deeply, to sense the unspoken truths, and to connect with wisdom beyond words. The strongest people don't always have the loudest voices. They carry an inner calm that commands respect and attention. This kind of silence is armor, protecting you from unnecessary conflict and preserving your energy for what truly matters. In silence, there is reflection, a sacred space where you can confront your fears, doubts, and pain without distraction. The noise outside can't touch you when you retreat inside to that quiet place. Here you can see your life clearly without the distortion of anger or frustration. Silence teaches patience, the ability to wait without anxiety or impulse. It's in silence that you find the courage to face your deepest truths and the strength to carry on. It's a battlefield where the loudest wars are fought and won quietly. When you stop filling every moment with noise, you create space for growth, healing, and transformation. The world often pressures us to prove ourselves through words, to justify our actions, and to seek validation. But there is immense power in not explaining yourself, in standing firm without needing to convince anyone. Silence can be your strongest statement. It says, "I am enough," without shouting it from the rooftops. It says, "I trust my path," without needing approval. When you embrace the strength in silence, you stop wasting your breath on those who don't value it. You conserve your energy and wait for the right moment, the right people, the right purpose to speak. This kind of quiet confidence is magnetic and unshakable. Silence is also a shield against negativity. When people try to provoke you, to drag you into arguments, or to undermine your peace, silence is your response. It's not weakness to walk away from a fight you don't need. It's strength to refuse to engage in drama that steals your joy. You don't have to defend your worth or prove your point to everyone. Sometimes the most powerful response is no response at all. When you guard your silence fiercely, you protect your peace. You show the world that you will not be baited into chaos or conflict. Your silence speaks louder than any argument ever could. The strength in silence also means listening, truly listening. When you quiet your voice, you open your ears and your heart to the world around you. You begin to understand others on a deeper level, to sense their pain, their struggles, and their truths. Silence is a bridge to empathy and connection. It allows you to respond with wisdom rather than judgment. When you listen more and speak less, you become a source of calm in the storm, a steady presence others seek in times of trouble. Silence becomes not just a refuge, but a gift you offer the world. Sometimes silence is the space where decisions are made. When everything inside you feels chaotic and your mind is racing, stepping into silence gives you clarity. It's in the quiet moments that you hear your own voice, your true voice. Above the noise of doubt and fear, silence sharpens your intuition and guides your actions. It helps you separate what matters from what doesn't, so you can focus your energy where it counts. Strength in silence means trusting that answers will come if you're patient enough to wait and listen. It means having faith in your inner wisdom when the outside world is confusing. The world rewards noise, urgency, and drama, but the strongest souls choose a different path. They choose silence, restraint, and grace. They know that power doesn't always roar. Sometimes it whispers. It's the calm in the chaos, the peace in the storm, the steady hand in the darkness. When you learn to hold your silence, you become unshakable. You stand like a mountain, unmovable and steady. No matter how wild the storm around you, this is the quiet strength that changes lives. Your life first, and then the lives of those around you. Silence can be lonely. Yes, it can feel like isolation when the world expects noise and constant connection. But in this loneliness, you find freedom. Freedom from judgment, expectation, and distraction. In silence, you meet yourself fully. Your hopes, your fears, your dreams. It's where you build resilience and deepen your faith. When you embrace silence, you are choosing yourself. You are choosing peace over chaos, depth over surface, wisdom over noise. This is strength on a level few ever reach, and it changes everything. The strength in silence is the strength to be present fully, deeply, and without apology. It's the power to hold your peace when the world demands drama. It's the courage to listen more than you speak, to act with intention, and to trust your inner voice above all else. When you live in this strength, you are unstoppable. Your silence is your power, your shield, your sanctuary. And in that silence, you find the courage to live boldly, love deeply, and rise above every challenge with unwavering grace. Indifference is often seen as a weakness, a sign of giving up, a lack of care, or worse, apathy. But what if I told you indifference can be a secret weapon? What if the cold, calm shell of indifference is actually the starting point for unshakable focus? When you learn to turn indifference into focus, you stop being a victim of distraction and emotional overwhelm. You stop wasting energy on what doesn't serve you. Indifference, when mastered, becomes a shield that blocks out the noise of negativity, drama, and chaos. It's not about being cold-hearted. It's about being fiercely selective with your attention. This kind of indifference doesn't numb you. It sharpens you. It